Captain Lee Dong-woo walked slowly across the metal floor of the space station. His heavy boots made loud sounds that echoed through the empty halls. Around him, the walls showed pictures of Earth from space. The blue and green planet looked so peaceful from far away, but Lee Dong-woo knew that peace would not last much longer. He stopped at the big window that looked out into space. In front of him, he could see thousands of alien ships. They looked like angry metal insects floating in the darkness. Each ship was bigger than any building on Earth, and there were so many of them that they blocked out the stars. The alien fleet had been growing bigger every day for the past month. Lee Dong-woo touched the glass window with his hand. It felt cold against his skin. He remembered when he was a young boy looking up at the night sky and dreaming about meeting aliens from other worlds. Now those aliens were here, and they did not come as friends. They came as conquerors who wanted to destroy everything humans had ever built. Behind him, the door opened with a soft sound. Commander Park So-jin walked into the room. She carried a tablet computer in her hands. Her face looked tired and worried. She had not slept well for many weeks. The stress of the situation was making everyone on the space station feel sick and scared. Park So-jin stood next to Lee Dong-woo at the window. She looked out at the alien ships and shook her head slowly. The aliens had weapons that could destroy entire cities with one shot. They had shields that could stop any attack humans could make. They had faster ships and better technology in every way that mattered. The aliens called themselves the Galactic Council. They said they ruled over 10,000 different planets across the galaxy. They had been conquering worlds for millions of years. They were very good at it. They would arrive at a planet with overwhelming force and give the people living there a simple choice: join the Galactic Council as slaves or die fighting. Most planets chose to surrender. The aliens were too strong to fight against, and everyone knew it. The smart thing to do was give up and hope the aliens would let some of the population live as workers. But humans were not like most other species in the galaxy. Humans had a strange habit of fighting even when they could not win. For 3 years, the aliens had been trying to conquer Earth. They started with small attacks to test human defenses. When humans fought back harder than expected, the aliens sent bigger fleets. When humans still refused to surrender, the aliens destroyed entire human cities with their planet-killing weapons. But something strange happened. Every time the aliens thought they had broken human resistance, humans would rebuild their destroyed cities even bigger and stronger than before. Human soldiers who were captured would somehow escape from alien prison ships and blow them up from the inside. Human civilians would invent new weapons using household items and metal scraps. The aliens had never seen anything like it. In their experience, most species would give up after losing a few battles. Humans seemed to get more angry and more creative every time they lost a fight. The aliens started calling humans the crazy species because human behavior made no sense to alien minds. Park So-jin looked at the tablet in her hands. The screen showed a message that had just arrived from the alien fleet commander. The message was written in simple words that any human could understand. The aliens wanted to make sure there was no confusion about what they were offering. The message said Earth had 24 hours to make a final choice. All humans must leave their planet and spread out across the galaxy as refugees with no weapons and no ships. They would become wandering beggars dependent on alien charity for survival. The alternative was complete destruction of Earth and every human in the galaxy. Lee Dong-woo read the message over Park So-jin's shoulder. He almost laughed. The aliens still did not understand humans at all. They thought the choice between becoming homeless refugees or dying in battle was difficult for humans to make. They did not realize that humans had already chosen a third option that the aliens could never imagine. Deep underground in a secret laboratory, Dr. Kim Tae-hyun was putting the finishing touches on the most ambitious plan in human history. For 6 months, the best human scientists and engineers had been working on something they called Ghost Protocol. It was not a weapon or a defense system. It was something much more clever. The plan was simple in concept but incredibly difficult to execute. Every human being on Earth and in space would disappear at exactly the same moment. They would not die and they would not run away. They would simply vanish from normal space and time, leaving behind only empty cities and a mystery that would drive the aliens crazy. The technology behind Ghost Protocol was based on discoveries human scientists had made while studying captured alien equipment. Humans had learned that space and time were not as solid and unchanging as people thought. There were hidden dimensions folded inside normal space places, where matter and energy could exist without being detected by any known scanning technology. Dr. Kim Tae-hyun had figured out how to move objects, including living people, into these hidden dimensions. The process required enormous amounts of energy and perfect timing across the entire planet, but it could be done. The hard part was making sure every human participated at exactly the right moment. Secret teams had been installing Ghost Protocol equipment in every human city and space station. The equipment looked like ordinary communication devices or power generators. Even the people installing it did not know its real purpose. Only a few dozen humans knew the complete plan. Most people on Earth had no idea that in less than 24 hours they would be participating in the greatest magic trick in galactic history. Park Seo-jin looked at Lee Dong-woo and smiled for the first time in weeks. She knew about Ghost Protocol. She was one of the few people trusted with the complete secret. The aliens thought they were giving humans an impossible choice between slavery and death. They had no idea that humans had invented a third option that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The alien fleet commander was probably expecting humans to spend their last day crying and begging for mercy or preparing for a hopeless final battle. Instead, humans were calmly preparing to disappear from the universe in a way that would make every alien species question everything they thought they knew about the nature of reality. Lee Dong-woo walked back to his command chair. He had work to do. The next 24 hours would be the most important day in human history. By tomorrow night, humanity would either be extinct or they would have become the most feared and mysterious species in the galaxy. There was no third option except the one humans had created for themselves. The alien ships continued to float in space, waiting for human surrender or human destruction. They had no idea they were about to witness something that would haunt their dreams for the rest of their lives. The day humanity left the universe would indeed never be the same. Lieutenant Colonel Choi Min-ho sat in the underground command center staring at dozens of computer screens around him. Each screen showed a different part of Earth, from space stations to busy city streets to quiet farm towns all across the planet. 8 billion humans were going about their morning routines as if this was just another ordinary day. The alien scanners high above Earth were recording everything they saw: human children walking to school, human workers driving to their jobs, human families eating breakfast together in their kitchens. The aliens were probably confused about why humans seemed so calm on what might be their last day alive, but Choi Min-ho knew something the aliens did not know. None of those humans walking around on Earth were actually real people. They were advanced holograms and robots controlled by artificial intelligence systems. The real humans had been secretly moved to safety over the past several weeks using teleportation technology that alien sensors could not detect. The evacuation had been the most difficult part of Ghost Protocol. Moving 8 billion people without anyone noticing required perfect planning and absolute secrecy. Families were told they were being moved to underground shelters for safety during the final alien attack. They had no idea they were actually being transported to a hidden dimension outside normal space and time. Dr. Yoon Hae-jin monitored the hologram systems from her control station. The fake humans on Earth had to act exactly like real people or the aliens would realize something was wrong. The artificial intelligence controlling the holograms had studied human behavior for months. It knew how people walked and talked and moved through their daily lives. The holograms were so realistic that even other humans would have trouble telling they were fake. They cast shadows in sunlight. They left footprints in snow. They even breathed and blinked and made small movements that real people make without thinking. The technology was beyond anything humans had possessed before studying captured alien equipment on the surface of Earth. Fake human families sat down for what appeared to be normal meals. Holographic children played in parks while holographic parents watched them and smiled. Artificial humans drove cars through city streets and worked at jobs and lived lives that looked completely real from the outside. The alien fleet moved closer to Earth as the deadline approached. Their massive ships cast huge shadows across entire continents. Alien soldiers prepared for either mass human surrender or a final desperate battle that would end with human extinction. Either way, the aliens expected this day to finish the human problem once and for All Fleet Admiral Bei Sujin watched everything from the hidden observation post in the pocket dimension where all the real humans now lived. She could see alien landing craft preparing to descend to Earth. The aliens were bringing enough soldiers to occupy every major human city. They wanted to be ready for whatever humans might try to dote exactly noon Galactic Standard Time. Choi Min-ho pressed a single button on his control panel across Earth, and in every human space station the same thing happened at the same instant. Every fake human simply faded away like morning mist, disappearing in sunlight. The effect was incredible to watch. 8 billion human life signs vanished from alien sensors in the span of a single heartbeat. The aliens had been expecting surrender or battle, but instead they got something no species in galactic history had ever seen before. Complete and total disappearance of an entire civilization. Alien scanner operators frantically checked their equipment, thinking there must be some kind of technical malfunction, but all their instruments were working perfectly. The humans were simply gone. Every single one of them had vanished without leaving any trace of how they had disappeared. Emergency alerts screened through the alien fleet as commanders tried to understand what had just happened. Some aliens thought it might be a new kind of weapon that could make people invisible. Others wondered if humans had somehow killed themselves all at once. Rather than face conquest, landing craft full of alien soldiers rushed down to Earth expecting to find battlefields covered with human bodies. Instead, they found something much more disturbing than death. They found empty cities that looked like everyone had just stepped outside for a few minutes and would be back soon. Alien soldiers walked through human homes and found dinner plates still warm from recent meals. Books lay open to pages someone had been reading moments before. Television screens still showed human news programs, even though there were no humans left to watch them. Traffic lights continued changing colors for roads that no longer carried any drivers. The aliens searched frantically through every building and every room looking for some sign of where the humans had gone. They found family photographs hanging on walls, children toys scattered on bedroom floors, clothes laid out as if someone was planning to wear them later that day. Everything suggested that humans had been living normal lives right up until the moment they disappeared. But there were no bodies, no signs of struggle, no evidence of mass destruction or suicide. Nothing that could explain how 8 billion people had simply stopped existing. In the same instant, the alien fleet commander called for the best scientists and technical experts from across the galaxy. Within hours, alien research teams were arriving at Earth with the most advanced scanning and detection equipment known to galactic science. They were determined to solve the mystery of what had happened to humanity, but nothing worked no matter what technology the aliens used. They could not find any trace of where the humans had gone. It was as if humanity had never existed at all, except for all the empty cities and abandoned belongings they had left behind as proof that they definitely had been there. The news of humanity's impossible disappearance spread across the galaxy faster than light-speed communication could carry it. Every alien species heard the same unbelievable story. The humans had somehow made their entire civilization vanish without explanation, leaving behind a mystery that the smartest minds in the galaxy could not solve. Some aliens thought humans had discovered technology that could move matter into other dimensions. Others believed humans had achieved some kind of spiritual transcendence that allowed them to exist beyond physical reality. A few alien scientists suggested that humans had simply chosen to die in a way that left no evidence behind, but the most disturbing possibility was that humans were still alive somewhere, planning their next move. If humans could disappear completely, they might also be able to reappear anywhere, at any time. The thought of invisible humans with unknown powers watching from hidden places made every alien species nervous. The Galactic Council, which had demanded human surrender, was now faced with a situation they had never encountered in millions of years of conquest. They had won the battle for Earth, but they had no idea what they had actually won or whether the war was really over. Alien leaders held emergency meetings trying to decide what to do next. Some wanted to declare victory and move on to conquering other planets. Others insisted they needed to understand what happened to humans before they could safely continue their expansion across the galaxy. The debate paralyzed the galactic government and stopped their military campaigns. While alien scientists continued searching for answers they would never find in trying to conquer humanity, the aliens had created a mystery that would change how every species in the universe thought about the nature of reality itself. Bei Su Jin smiled as she watched alien confusion from the safety of the hidden dimension. Humanity had achieved something impossible. They had turned certain defeat into the beginning of their greatest victory. The day they vanished from Earth would be remembered as the day humans became the most feared species in the galaxy. Major Yang Ji-hoon sat in front of a wall of communication screens in the hidden human base. Each screen showed different alien news broadcasts from across the galaxy. He had been monitoring alien reactions to humanity disappearance for 2 weeks now, and what he was seeing amazed him more each day. Instead of celebrating their victory over Earth, the aliens seemed terrified by what humans had done. The story of humanity vanishing was spreading through alien civilizations faster than any news. In galactic history, every species was talking about the humans who had somehow made themselves disappear without explanation. On one screen in alien news, reporter with blue skin and 4 arms was interviewing scientists about possible explanations for humanity disappearance. The scientists looked confused and frightened as they admitted they had no idea how an entire species could vanish so completely. The best minds in the galaxy were stumped by what humans had accomplished. Another screen showed an alien military commander giving a speech to his troops. He was trying to reassure them that humans were gone forever, but Yang Ji-hoon could see the doubt in the commander's eyes. Even the aliens who claimed to believe humans were dead were not really convinced. Dr. Yoon Haijin walked over to Yang Ji-hoon's desk, carrying a tablet full of psychological analysis reports. She had been studying how different alien species were reacting to the human mystery. The results were fascinating and showed that humanity disappearance was having effects no one had predicted. Some alien species believed humans had ascended to a higher level of existence, becoming beings of pure energy who could travel between dimensions at will. These aliens were building temples to honor human spirits and praying for protection from human revenge. Other species thought humans had developed technology so advanced that it seemed like magic to less developed civilizations. These aliens were frantically trying to reverse engineer human equipment left behind on Earth, hoping to discover the secrets of disappearing. A few alien races believed humans had simply chosen to commit mass suicide rather than accept conquest, but had somehow erased all evidence of their deaths. These aliens were disturbed by the idea of a species so proud that they would rather die mysteriously than live as slaves. The most interesting reaction came from alien species that had never heard of humans before the disappearance. These civilizations were now obsessed with learning everything they could about human history and culture. They wanted to understand how such a young species had developed abilities that seemed impossible. Captain Nam Yoo-jin brought Yang Ji-hoon a new set of reports from alien military communications. The reports showed that alien behavior was changing throughout the galaxy. Species that had been aggressive toward their neighbors were becoming more cautious. They were worried about encountering another enemy like humanity that could vanish without warning. Peaceful alien civilizations were studying human history, trying to learn how humans had remained independent for so long against superior alien technology. They were looking for lessons that might help them defend their own worlds from conquest. The Galactic Council, which had ruled the galaxy for millions of years, was facing its worst crisis ever. Council members were arguing constantly about what had happened to humans and what it meant for galactic security. Some aliens wanted to pretend humans had never existed and continue with business as usual. Other council members insisted that humanity disappearance proved there were forces in the universe that the Galactic Council did not understand. They argued that the council needed to completely change how it dealt with other species because traditional conquest methods might not work against enemies with unknown abilities. The arguments were tearing the council apart. For the first time in recorded galactic history, different alien species were choosing sides based on their own fears and theories about what humans had done. The unity that had made galactic conquest possible was breaking down. Young Ji-hoon noticed that some alien species were becoming suspicious of their own allies. They wondered if other civilizations might have secret knowledge about human technology or might be capable of disappearing like humans did. Trust between alien species was eroding. As everyone questioned whether their neighbors might have hidden abilities, the economic effects were becoming serious as well. Trade between alien worlds was dropping as species became more focused on their own security than on commerce scientific. Cooperation was ending because civilizations were afraid to share knowledge that might help others develop human-like powers on Earth. Itself, alien occupation forces were having psychological problems. Many alien soldiers reported seeing human ghosts. In empty cities, they heard voices in abandoned buildings and saw shadows moving in places where no one should be. These were probably just the effects of stress and confusion, but they made aliens even more nervous about staying on Earth. Some alien species declared Earth to be a cursed world that should be avoided. They believed human spirits still haunted the planet and might possess or harm any aliens who stayed there. Too long, other species wanted to strip mine Earth and destroy all evidence of human civilization to end the mystery once and for all. The debates about what to do with Earth led to more arguments within the Galactic Council. Some aliens thought destroying human cities would anger human spirits and bring terrible revenge. Others believed that preserving human civilization as a monument would somehow protect them from human powers. Religious movements were starting among alien populations. Some aliens began worshipping humans as gods who had transcended physical existence. Others saw humans as demons who might return to punish the galaxy for trying to conquer Earth. New religions formed around the mystery of humanity. Disappearance d'Arly, GI1, studied reports about these alien religious movements from his laboratory. In the hidden dimension, he was fascinated by how quickly aliens had turned humans into mythological figures. The disappearance had created legends that were already being told differently by different alien cultures. Some alien children were having nightmares about invisible humans watching them from hidden dimensions. Alien parents were using stories about human disappearance to scare their children into behaving properly. The fear of humans was becoming part of alien culture even among species that had never encountered humans directly. The galaxy was transforming from a stable empire controlled by the Galactic Council into a collection of nervous, suspicious, and increasingly isolated civilizations, all because humanity had chosen to leave rather than fight a war they could not win. Yang Jihun realized that humans had accomplished something amazing without firing a single shot. They had destroyed the galactic order simply by refusing to play by alien rules. The mystery of their disappearance was more powerful than any weapon humans could have built. In just 2 weeks, humanity had become the most famous and feared species in galactic history. Even though humans were supposedly gone, their influence on the galaxy was growing stronger every day. The legend of the vanishing humans was changing how every alien species thought about power, conquest, and the nature of reality itself. The galaxy would never be the same, and humans were just getting started with their plan. Intelligence Officer Kim Jae-sung stood before a massive holographic display showing the current political situation across the galaxy. 6 months had passed since humanity disappeared, and the effects were beyond what anyone had predicted. The stable galactic empire that had existed for millions of years was falling apart. The holographic map showed different alien territories in various colors, but the colors were changing constantly as alliances formed and broke. Species that had been friends for centuries were now enemies. Species that had been enemies were forming desperate partnerships. The disappearance of humanity had triggered a complete breakdown of galactic order. Commander Shin Da-hai joined Kim Jae-sung at the display. She carried reports from human agents who were secretly observing alien civilizations from the hidden dimension. The news was both exciting and terrifying. Humanity's plan was working better than they had hoped, but the consequences were spiraling out of control. The Galactic Council had officially split into 3 separate factions, each claiming to be the legitimate government of the galaxy. The first faction called themselves the Dominion and wanted to destroy all evidence of humanity to end the mystery that was driving aliens crazy. They believed fear of humans was making other species impossible to control. The second faction formed the Alliance and insisted that humans were still alive somewhere in the galaxy. They wanted to prepare for human return by building massive defense systems and developing new weapons. These aliens were convinced that humans would eventually come back, seeking revenge for the attempted conquest of Earth. The third faction created the Federation and believed the galaxy needed to completely change how it dealt with unknown threats. They wanted to study human culture and technology, to prepare for encountering other species that might have similar mysterious abilities. Each faction accused the others of being secretly influenced by human agents or of having hidden human technology. The paranoia was so intense that former allies were treating each other as potential enemies. No alien species trusted any other species completely anymore. The first open warfare between major alien civilizations began when Dominion forces attacked an Alliance research station studying human artifacts. The Alliance responded by destroying Dominion military bases on 3 different planets within days. The conflict had spread across dozens of star systems. Kim Jae-sung watched real-time updates, showing massive space battles between alien fleets that had once fought together against common enemies. The weapons being used were planet killers that could destroy entire worlds. Billions of aliens were dying in wars that existed only because humans had chosen to disappear. Mysteriously, Dr. Song Mi-young analyzed the economic data from her workstation in the hidden human base. The galactic economy was collapsing faster than anyone had thought possible. Trade between species had dropped by 90% as everyone became afraid of dealing with potential enemies. Alien civilizations were hoarding resources and canceling contracts with other species. Everyone was preparing for wars they hoped would never happen but expected to fight. The galactic currency had become worthless because no one trusted promises made by aliens from other worlds. Scientific cooperation, which had allowed rapid technological progress across the galaxy, had ended completely. Species were afraid that sharing knowledge might help enemies develop human-like disappearing abilities. Research projects that had involved multiple species were abandoned as participants withdrew to focus on their own security. The most advanced alien technologies were being converted from peaceful purposes to military ones. Terraforming equipment became planet-destroying weapons. Medical research facilities started developing biological warfare agents. Transportation systems were modified to carry armies instead of trade goods on Earth. The automated systems left behind by humans continued operating according to their programming. City lights turned on every evening as if people were still living there. Factories produced goods that would never be used. Transportation systems moved empty vehicles along routes that once carried millions of passengers. These ghost activities were driving the alien occupation forces insane. Soldiers reported hearing human voices in empty buildings, seeing movement in abandoned homes, and finding evidence that someone had been in places where no one could have gone. The psychological pressure was breaking down alien military discipline. Some alien units abandoned their posts on Earth, claiming the planet was haunted by vengeful human spirits. Others requested transfer to active combat zones because fighting living enemies was less stressful than occupying a world full of mysteries they could not solve. Commander Park Hyun-woo received reports that several alien species had started worshipping humans as gods or demons. Entire civilizations were building temples dedicated to the mystery of human disappearance. Some aliens performed rituals hoping to gain human-like powers. Others conducted ceremonies designed to protect them from human revenge. The religious movements were causing additional problems within alien governments. Species with different beliefs about humans could not cooperate effectively. Some aliens thought humans should be honored and feared others believed humans were evil and should be forgotten. These religious conflicts added another layer to the political chaos. Dr. Cho Yeon-min studied the psychological profiles of alien leaders from her research station. Many of the most powerful aliens in the galaxy were showing signs of serious mental stress. The mystery of humanity disappearance was literally driving them crazy because it challenged everything they thought they knew about reality. Alien scientists who had spent their lives studying the physical laws of the universe were questioning whether those laws were actually true. If humans could make an entire species disappear, maybe other impossible things were also possible. The foundation of alien science was being shaken by doubt. Military commanders who had conquered hundreds of worlds were paralyzed by uncertainty about how to fight an enemy that might not even exist if humans could vanish completely. They might also be able to appear anywhere without warning. Traditional military strategies were useless against such possibilities. Political leaders who had maintained galactic order for millions of years were losing control of their own government's fear of humans was making their subjects impossible to govern. Normal methods of maintaining authority did not work when everyone was terrified of invisible enemies with unknown powers. The galaxy had become a place where ancient alliances meant nothing, where economic systems were collapsing, where scientific progress had stopped, and where billions of beings were dying in wars caused by fear and suspicion. All because humanity had refused to surrender and had instead chosen to disappear in a way that no one could understand. Kim Jae-sung smiled as he watched the chaos spreading across the galactic map. Humanity had achieved something that no military conquest could have accomplished. They had destroyed their enemies. Without killing anyone, the fear of humans was more powerful than any weapon humans had ever built. Old galactic order was finished, and humans had not fired a single shot. The mystery of their disappearance was tearing apart an empire that had seemed unbeatable. The galaxy would never be the same, and the real human plan was just beginning soon. It would be time for humanity to return, but not as the weak species aliens remembered. They would come back as the most feared and respected civilization in galactic history, and when they returned, they would reshape the galaxy according to human ideas about how civilizations should treat each other. Colonel Park Hyung-woo walked through the command center of the hidden human base, preparing for the most important mission in human history. 2 years had passed since humanity vanished from normal space. In that time, they had watched the galaxy tear itself apart, trying to understand what happened to them. Now it was time for humans to return, but everything would be different. The humans returning to normal space were not the same species that had disappeared from Earth. They had spent 2 years studying every piece of alien technology they could find, analyzing galactic politics, and preparing for a completely new kind of interaction with alien civilizations. During their time in the hidden dimension, humans had learned more about the galaxy than they had discovered in centuries of previous contact. They understood how alien governments worked, how alien economies functioned, and most importantly, how alien minds reacted to fear and uncertainty. Dr. Kim Tae-hyun had used the time to perfect human technology beyond anything aliens possessed. The disappearing ability that had allowed humans to vanish was now refined and controllable. Humans could make objects, people, or entire fleets appear and disappear at will anywhere in the galaxy. But the most important development was not technological. Human social scientists had studied the chaos. They had caused and developed a strategy for returning to the galaxy as peacekeepers and problem solvers instead of conquerors. Humans would use their fearsome reputation to prevent wars rather than start them. The first sign of humanity return happened on a planet called Zarian, where 2 alien species had been fighting a brutal war over mining rights for the past year. The Zilani and the Korath had been killing each other with increasing violence as their governments collapsed under the stress of the galactic political crisis. Captain Oh Yoon-young commanded the first human ship to reappear in normal space. In 2 years, her vessel materialized directly between the 2 alien battle fleets, just as they were preparing for what might have been the final battle of their war. The effect on the alien commanders was immediate and dramatic. Both alien fleets stopped shooting at each other and stared in terror at the human ship that had appeared from nowhere. The Zilani admiral sent a panicked message to his government reporting that the legendary vanishing humans had returned. The Korath fleet commander ordered his ships to retreat rather than risk fighting beings with mysterious powers. Oh Yoon-young broadcast a simple message to both fleets using perfect Zilani and Korath languages that humans had learned during their absence. Stop fighting, or we will make both your fleets disappear like we disappeared from Earth. The choice is yours, but you have 10 minutes to decide. Fighting stopped immediately. Both alien species were so terrified of suffering humanity fate that they agreed to peace talks. Within hours, diplomat Kang Seung-ho materialized on the neutral space station where the negotiations were held, and helped both species reach an agreement that gave them what they needed without war. The Zilani needed rare metals for their technology, and the Korath needed food for their growing population. Kang Seung-ho suggested a trade agreement where Korath agricultural products would be exchanged for Zilani mining equipment. Both species could get what they wanted through cooperation instead of conquest. The peace treaty was signed within a week, making it the fastest resolution of an alien conflict in galactic history. News of humanity's successful mediation spread across the galaxy faster than light-speed communication. Both alien species publicly thanked humans for saving them from destroying each other. This pattern began repeating across the galaxy. Wherever alien species were fighting, humans would appear without warning, offer to help solve the underlying problems peacefully, and demonstrate their vanishing technology if anyone refused to cooperate. The demonstrations were always spectacular and terrifying. Fleet Admiral Ru Taejun coordinated human operations from the flagship of humanity New Space Fleet when aliens refused to negotiate. Humans would make empty planets disappear and reappear in different star systems. Entire asteroid belts would vanish and return rearranged in impossible geometric patterns. The message was clear to every alien species in the galaxy. Humans could make anything disappear permanently if they chose to do so, but humans preferred to help solve problems rather than create them. The combination of fear and gratitude made human mediation incredibly effective. Within 6 months of humanity return, over 200 alien conflicts had been resolved through human intervention. Species that had been enemies for thousands of years were working together on projects that benefited everyone. Humans had become the galaxy's most respected and requested mediators. The old Galactic Council factions were forced to work with humans because their own wars were destroying their civilizations. Human negotiators helped former enemies find ways to cooperate instead of fighting. The galaxy was becoming more peaceful than it had been in millions of years. Commander Lee Hyojin established human diplomatic stations throughout the galaxy, but humans were careful not to create a human empire. Instead, they built a network of problem solvers who could be called upon when conflicts arose. Humans helped other species solve their own problems rather than ruling over them. The most important change was in how alien species thought about conflict resolution. Instead of automatically using force as the first option, they had learned from human examples to try negotiation, compromise, and creative solutions. First, many conflicts were now being resolved without human involvement as aliens applied human methods themselves. Dr. Yoon Haijin studied the psychological changes in alien behavior. The fear of human intervention had made violence much less attractive as a solution to problems. Aliens were more willing to compromise because they knew that stubborn refusal to negotiate might bring human attention. The galaxy economy began recovering as trade resumed between species that had learned to trust each other through human mediation. Scientific cooperation restarted as aliens realized that sharing knowledge was less dangerous than remaining isolated. The galactic currency stabilized as confidence returned to interspecies commerce. Human technology continued advancing in the hidden dimension, but humans were careful about what they revealed to alien species they shared. Medical knowledge that could help cure diseases and engineering techniques that could improve living conditions, but they kept their most advanced capabilities secret. Mystery of how humans had originally disappeared was never fully explained. To alien civilizations, humans allowed them to believe it was a combination of advanced technology and supernatural abilities. This reputation made human threats more effective, while also making human friendship more valuable. Captain Nam Yujin reported from various human diplomatic missions that alien species were competing to maintain good relationships with humans. Everyone wanted humans as allies because everyone knew humans could be either powerful protectors or dangerous enemies. The transformation of galactic civilization was remarkable. Crime rates dropped across the galaxy because criminals feared attracting human attention. Wars became rare because fighting species knew humans would intervene. Technological progress accelerated because species were sharing research instead of hoarding it for military advantages. Humanity had achieved something that no conquering species in galactic history had ever managed. They had made the entire galaxy better by choosing to help rather than dominate. The fear of human power was balanced by gratitude for human assistance, creating a respect that conquest could never have achieved. The day humanity left Earth had indeed changed the universe forever. By vanishing, humans had destroyed an oppressive galactic empire. By returning, they were helping build something better in its place. The galaxy was becoming a place where all species could prosper together in peace, guided by human wisdom and protected by human strength. General Lee Hyojin stood on the observation deck of humanity flagship looking out at the transformed galaxy. 5 years had passed since humans returned from their mysterious disappearance. The universe had become a completely different place. From the oppressive empire that had once threatened to destroy Earth, the bridge around him buzzed with activity as human diplomats coordinated peace negotiations between dozens of alien species communication officers received requests for human mediation from across the galaxy. Military advisors planned humanitarian missions to help civilizations recovering from years of warfare. Through the large windows, Lihio Jin could see ships from hundreds of different alien species traveling together. In mixed convoys, the sight would have been impossible under the old Galactic Council, which had kept different species separated and suspicious of each other. Now aliens worked together on projects that benefited everyone. Ambassador Song Mi-young approached with her latest report from the new Galactic Assembly. The democratic organization had replaced the old authoritarian council with representatives from over 1,000 different species. Each civilization maintained its independence, while participating in cooperative efforts to address common challenges. The assembly had no single ruler and no dominant species. Instead, decisions were made through discussion and compromise, with human mediators helping when negotiations became difficult. Humans facilitated the discussions but did not control them, allowing each species to shape its own destiny. Song Mi-young data showed remarkable progress in galactic civilization. Crime rates had dropped to historic lows because criminals knew that human peacekeepers might intervene if local authorities could not handle serious problems. The fear of attracting human attention was a powerful deterrent to violence. Wars between species had become almost extinct. Potential conflicts were now resolved through negotiation before they could escalate to violence. When diplomatic solutions seemed impossible, humans would offer to mediate, and their reputation for fairness, combined with their mysterious powers, made their suggestions very persuasive. The economic recovery had exceeded all expectations. Trade between species had reached levels higher than ever before achieved under the old empire. Aliens were sharing resources and knowledge freely because they had learned that cooperation was more profitable than competition. De Cho Young-min presented her analysis of scientific progress across the galaxy. Research projects now involved multiple species working together instead of each civilization developing technology. In isolation, the rate of discovery had accelerated dramatically as different alien perspectives combined to solve complex problems. Medical advances had eliminated diseases that had plagued alien species for millions of years. Engineering breakthroughs had made space travel safer and more efficient. Agricultural improvements had ended food shortages on dozens of worlds. The sharing of knowledge was creating prosperity everywhere. The most remarkable change was in how alien species approached problem solving instead of automatically resorting to force or deception. They had learned to try creative solutions first. Many conflicts were now resolved without any human involvement, as aliens applied methods they had learned from watching human mediators. Captain Kim Do-hyun reported from his patrol of the outer galaxy regions. Even in areas where humans rarely visited, alien behavior had changed. Species were treating each other with more respect and consideration. The influence of human methods was spreading naturally as aliens saw how effective cooperation could be on Earth itself. The planet had been restored to its former beauty with help from grateful alien species who wanted to repay humans for their assistance. The empty cities had been rebuilt and were now home to diplomatic missions from across the galaxy. Earth had become the unofficial capital of galactic civilization. The automated systems that had haunted alien occupation forces were now explained as part of humanity advanced technology. Aliens no longer feared Earth as a cursed world. Instead, they saw it as a symbol of human ingenuity and the power of mysterious abilities used for good rather than evil. Human settlements had been established throughout the galaxy, but not as conquering colonies. Each human outpost served as a center for diplomatic and humanitarian activities. Humans helped aliens solve problems, provided disaster relief, and offered technical assistance to developing civilizations. The hidden dimension where humanity had spent 2 years in exile had been expanded into a massive research and development facility. Human scientists continued working on new technologies and methods for helping galactic civilization grow and prosper. The secret remained safe from Alien Discovery Dr. Gi-1 studied the long-term effects of humanity strategy on galactic culture. The legend of human disappearance had become one of the most famous stories ever told, inspiring countless alien tales about the power of creativity and determination over brute force. Alien children learned about humans in school as examples of how intelligence and cooperation could overcome seemingly impossible challenges. Human methods were taught as standard, diplomatic, and conflict resolution techniques. The influence of human thinking was becoming part of galactic education. Religious movements that had formed around the mystery of human disappearance had evolved into philosophies promoting peace, understanding, and creative problem solving. Some alien species had adopted human ethical principles as guides for their own behavior. The transformation was so complete that many young aliens could not imagine how the galaxy had functioned under the old system of conquest and oppression. They had grown up in a universe where cooperation was normal and violence was rare. The new galaxy was becoming their natural way of life. Commander Park So-jin reviewed reports from human intelligence agents monitoring the remaining traces of the old Galactic Council. A few die-hard alien leaders still believed in conquest and domination, but they had no support from their own populations. Most aliens preferred the new system of voluntary cooperation. The old Council military forces had been disbanded or converted to peacekeeping and disaster relief organizations. Former conquest fleets now carried medical supplies and emergency equipment to planets hit by natural disasters or industrial accidents. The weapons of oppression had become tools of assistance. Lee Hyojin reflected on how completely humanity had achieved their goals. The day they left Earth, they had been facing extinction at the hands of an overwhelming enemy. Now they were the most respected species in galactic history and had transformed their enemies into allies and friends. The mystery of humanity original disappearance would be remembered for millions of years as the greatest magic trick ever performed. It had destroyed an empire without killing anyone and created the foundation for a better civilization. The legend would inspire future generations of aliens to find creative solutions to impossible problems. Humanity had proven that intelligence and creativity were more powerful than advanced technology and superior numbers. They had shown that the right strategy at the right time could change the fate of an entire galaxy. The universe would never be the same because humans had refused to accept defeat. The Hidden Dimension Facility continued its work developing new ways to help galactic civilization advance and prosper. Humans remained committed to their role as helpers and protectors rather than rulers. The galaxy had become a place where all species could thrive together in peace. As Lee Hyojin watched ships from hundreds of different worlds working together in harmony, he knew that humanity had accomplished something truly remarkable. They had not just survived the attempt to conquer them, they had used that crisis to create a better universe for everyone. The day humanity left Earth had indeed changed everything. The galaxy was now a place of cooperation instead of conquest, of sharing instead of hoarding, of peace instead of war, and at the center of it all, humans continued working to make sure this better world would last forever.